All right, guys, welcome back to Top Corner Podcast with Juan and Omar. We're back for another week, and this time is a special one, guys, because the Champions League is back. It's the first leg of the quarterfinals, and we're going to be covering all the games: Milan versus Napoli, Real Madrid versus Chelsea, City versus Bayern, Benfica versus Inter. It's going to be wild over in the Champions League, but I got my man Omar with me. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Um, Sad. It was a pretty shit weekend for me to be honest in terms of footy, but I had a good time with my family. I spent some time with them this weekend. Happy Easter to everyone or whatever you're celebrating. It was a Jewish holiday. It was Passover and then it was Good Friday and Passover. So
Please make sure.
celebration to all. It was Good Friday and Passover. I know. I have a Jewish friend. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
But congratulations as celebratory things to everyone's religion and everyone's holidays. But overall, good weekend.
Yeah, dude. Happy holidays to everyone. But all right, we're gonna get into some footy here. Before we preview the games, we're gonna start with a bigger bit of the league games because we had a lot of action over the weekend. But I think the bombshell and the elephant in the room that everybody's talking about right now is what happened after the Real Madrid versus Villarreal game. So unless you're living under a rock, you probably know this already. But over the weekend, after the Real Madrid game, Valverde and Villarreal player Baena got into a serious altercation after Valverde struck Baena in the face. Now, per reports, it was reported, yeah, that Baena was saying some pretty nasty things to Valverde throughout the game. It was also reported that earlier in the year, when Real Madrid and Villarreal played in the Copa del Rey, Baena said to Valverde, "Cry now that your son is not going to be born." And that was during a time where Valverde and his wife were going through some miscarriage scares. So obviously some pretty out of line comments, and Valverde did not forget, because going back to this game, apparently they got into it again. And per reports, Valverde waited after the game, saw Baena walking on his phone, went up to him, said, "What'd you say about my son?" and punched him across the face. Which, honestly, man, not even because I'm a Real Madrid fan, but props to Valverde, because there's trash talk and then there's sucker shit. And that's the biggest sucker shit I've seen in a fat minute by Baena, man. Just truly disgusting work.
Man, I understand talking shit about someone's skill, something that happened during the game. They lost the ball like a million times. They played bad. But taking that step that far to make fun of someone's child who had a miscarriage scares like that, especially that type of comment. When I first heard these reports coming in, I'm like, okay, what Real Madrid player started fighting someone? What kind of behavior is that? And then I heard the reason it was Valverde. It was like, bro, that man deserves to get his ass beat.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So police got involved and there's an investigation going on. There was pictures coming out from Baena, apparently, of his swollen face, quote unquote. I mean, bro, the guy, nothing serious happened to him. So it's pretty much probably Spanish press making it more than it is, but it is like the matter is pretty serious. And when police are involved, because Valverde possibly assaulted this man, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, like, but also, just to add, Baena is still denying the comments, and he has not come forward and admitted that he said this. So all this is still alleged. Is he said versus she said. So I mean, we'll see how it develops. A police investigation is going on, and they do have cameras everywhere in these buildings. So we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully, Valverde can escape scot free from this, because it was truly some bullshit, man. Like, it would be such bullshit if Valverde gets like charged or even like has to go into jail for like a day or two over some shit like this. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, and both of these guys are relatively young in their careers. So Valverde being 24, Bayena's 21, and he's been like a first team regular for Villarreal. So it's something not to. I wonder if Baena, if he's like this with a lot of other players, and this is the first time someone kind of like took a stand against them, against what the Shay's been talking. So maybe there's more to the root of this whole problem, Baena, or maybe it's just a one-off thing that he is trying to get into Valverde's head. But time will tell. We'll wait until this whole thing kind of like moves forward, see how what police say and all that, see what the La Liga officials will say. So that's kind of where we'll kind of leave it there. Don't
Yeah.
want to jump into any conclusions.
No, yeah, definitely. We don't want to make any conclusions, but yeah, hopefully the best comes out of it. In some lighter news, we did have new head coach announcements. Well, these are interim head coaches. Uh, for Chelsea, Frank Lampard was announced as the interim head coach. There was talks and reports about Nagelsmann possibly coming in or Luis Enrique possibly coming in for Chelsea, but they're gonna have wait to make their big move over the summer. And now Frank Lampard is gonna be the interim head coach, but that wasn't the only one because which one was the other one we had, Omar?
We had Sir Dean Smith become the interim head coach for Leicester after being fired on Boxing Day in December 27th by Norwich, who are in the championship right now. And as of recent, he was there for only a season and a half, so not great to be thinking about that as someone who didn't really spend a lot of time with Norwich, and I guess they're a struggling mid-table team who maybe are expected to be a little higher up in that standard.
Yeah, Leicester had a fantastic run these past few years, and they'll always have that magical season where they went all the way and won the Premier League. But it really looks like it's going to go downhill from here. It looks like they're pretty much locked in for relegation, and we'll probably see them in the championship. I don't know when we'll see them again. All their past players have been sold or past their prime now. It has been, believe it or not, I think it's 7 or 8 years since
Since seven
that season.
years.
Yeah, I know. Time flies,
Yeah,
man. Time
and
flies.
and and then in terms of Dean Smith, he was previously at Brentford from 2015 to 2018, where in 2015 they finished ninth in the championship, finished 10th in the championship in the following year, and then finished ninth again. So they're ninth, 10th, ninth with Brentford, and then was with Aston Villa from 2018 to 2021. And in those years, we knew Villa was not all that great. They got promoted with Villa at least in 2019, but yeah,
Yeah,
not great. Not a lot of voter confidence, in my opinion, with Dean Smith. But maybe they can. They're not out of being relegated already. They can still survive if they get their shit together.
I mean, yeah, you're betting with them. I'm pretty much betting against them just because their team form just gets worse every time. I think they were kind of holding in there after the World Cup and during the first few months of 2023, but it's really going downhill now. We'll see
It's
what
just
happens.
2 points. Just 2 points separating them and Everton, so it's not impossible.
We'll see. And speaking of the championship, some teams are going to go down, but some teams are going to come back up, and we already have one locked in because Burnley is breaking records as they've already been locked in to be promoted automatically to the English Premier League. How many fixtures are there left in the championship, Omar? I think there's still ways to go because they have way more games.
There isn't all that much. I think they play 46. I think there's 6 games left on the year because yeah, there's 24 teams. They played each team 2 times. Yeah, 46 with 6 games left to go for Burnley under legend of Manchester City, Vincent Company.
He's a coach for them?
Yep, Vincent Company.
Wow, that's really dope to see. So, all the best of luck to Burnley. They'll be back in the English Premier League for the 2023-2024 season, and it's great to have them back. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much news so far. Anything else you want to add, Omar?
Just today was an insane game between Wrexham and Notts County for the top of the National League, and it was a pretty good game to watch. Wrexham pulled out the 3-2 win, bang for the team owned by Deadpool, but yeah, it was a pretty cool game.
All
Ben
right.
Foster with an insane 97th minute save, penalty save.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope. I
yeah.
saw that
But
they went up, then they tied, then they were up again, then they tied them again, and then they finally took the lead, and that save at the end was what got them the
yeah,
3 points. But
yeah.
all
So
right, let's get into some recap of the footy this week. And I think we have to get straight down to it. Let's go down to England and let's waste no time. Liverpool versus Arsenal. One of the best performances I've seen all year, if not the best performance. It had everything. It had great football, it had drama, it had some fights, it was some tension in there. It had everything. Fans were involved. The crowd was insane. Anfield is always seems. What do you think of this one, Omar?
I actually couldn't catch the first half, so all I knew, I had a flight that Sunday, so all I knew, I was on the way back home, and it was a 2-1 lead for Arsenal. So it was a. I just heard one of the greatest games of all time, some Rocky Balboa fight type shit. So I didn't really get to witness it, but I did witness the Bobby Firmino equalizer, which was electric.
Yeah, Bobby Firmino. He's gonna end his contract now with Liverpool at the end of the season and go somewhere else. But man, what a way to go out! A Liverpool legend, and that trio forever will be missed. That Sane, Firmino, and Salah trio. There'll be nothing like it. And games like this is when you see some flashes of what used to be the great days.
Yeah, and for Arsenal, this game was they needed a win. They really do. And shout out to Aaron Ramsdale, who made two insane saves to close out this game. They should have easily lost. They could have easily lost with the two chances that Liverpool had late in the game. But he kind of kept them alive, and a draw here still puts them with a small lead over Man City as it's fallen down to 6 points with Man City having a game in hand.
So it could go down three to that lead could go down to three, and then Arsenal and City will be facing off pretty soon. So is this the time where we see Manchester City come back and snatch the lead away from Arsenal? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Other things that happened in this game, in my opinion, Arsenal got off to a very hot start, and after that goal to put them to take away the deficit for Liverpool, they were down 2-1 now. It's like they just took their claws out and were putting Arsenal in a corner. Arsenal could just not get out, and they were lucky that they went to the break without having Liverpool tie it. I thought after that they were gonna come back, have some fresh air, refresh themselves, get control back of the game. But no, man. Liverpool were just going at their neck, going again and again and again and again. Especially like you said, those last few minutes are insane. But Liverpool could have definitely won this one. It ended tied, but it could have been a 3-2 Liverpool win if it wasn't for a crucial Mo Salah missed penalty. Mo Salah before the Bournemouth game had not ever missed a target when shooting a penalty. Now he's missed two, Omar. What's going on over there with Mo Salah?
Back to back two as well, and I think we were both from like just in tears laughing at both times with the penalties. But I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's getting into his own head. Maybe I don't know. But and that kind of turns over with Arsenal only with their last 10 appearances at Anfield. That is 3 draws and 7 losses now. They have yet to win in their last 10 visits. And Liverpool have only lost once in their last 37 Premier League games at Anfield. So it continues to be a fortress to just not march in there and beat them. So
Yeah, Anfield just continues to live up to its name. Even on a Liverpool down here, you're talking about a team that's currently in eighth place or in 10th place at one point this year in the Premier League. And still, another fun fact, Arsenal are the first team to score at Anfield in the Premier League this year, 2023. We had looked at that stat, Omar. Remember, we didn't think it was true because it's a very specific stat. They've given up goals, obviously, the 2-5 to Madrid, but that was Champions League. and they gave up a goal in the FA Cup. But when it comes to Premier League, they had not allowed a goal all season, and that's big because Arsenal came in here and they scored two. In my
Yeah,
opinion, I think
yeah,
Arsenal really lost control of this game and they got comfortable. Even with the 2-1, I didn't like the way Arteta played that second half for two reasons. One, if you play back, you're giving Liverpool way too much of a chance to come back and just put up shots. And two, if you play not to lose, no matter the sport, what usually happens, Omar? You lose. So it's it's Mikel Arteta is a great coach, but that was where just things that I didn't like. It felt like he was just trying to hold on for dear life, and then ended up costing him.
yeah. Those small things that Arteta will for sure get better at, but with time, like he's still a young manager. If you think if in the whole landscape of current managers, like some of the better ones are already older. So he's still young. He still has time to learn, and it's kind of time to start learning already because these continue to slip up, and the Premier League trophy is going to get right away from him.
That's the thing. They've had enough slippages already. At this point, both Arsenal and Manchester City control their destiny to win the Premier League title. There's 8 games left, 9 games left for Manchester City. There's no room for error anymore for Arsenal because if Arsenal going perfect, if Arsenal are perfect the rest of the way, they still are in danger of losing that game to Manchester City and get the league snatched away from them because the goal difference for Manchester City, if they end up being tied in points, is plus 48 to Arsenal's plus 43. It's getting a lot of analysts. I remember at the beginning of the year when Arsenal had a bigger lead. I think at one point it was 9 points that Arsenal were ahead of Manchester City. They were saying that it's still Manchester City's league to lose, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Arsenal has a reputation for choking late in the season. It happened last year, even when they choked out of the Champions League. So I don't know, man. It's starting. I want Arsenal to win the league, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm a big fan of their story this year. It would be such a shame if they end up bottling it.
Yeah, especially in 2 weeks' time on April 26th, they play each other. That game will decide if whoever wins the title, in my opinion. That right there will decide it.
For Arsenal, they've been in okay form, but Manchester City have been a fucking bulldozer. Holy shit. They scored 4 goals versus Southampton. Yes, it's Southampton, but they've been crushing everybody. Doesn't matter who stands in their way or in what tournament. They've crushed in the Champions League, they crushed in the FA Cup, and then they crushed here in the Premier. So they can't be stopped no matter who stands in front of them. All right, but that's pretty much Liverpool versus Arsenal. Anything else you want to add on to this?
Not at all. Just and then Holland scoring a hat trick in his game. So
Oh yeah, and a little bicycle kick, pulling in his inner Ronaldo, going in. Yeah, and oh yeah, Erling Haaland now at 30 goals. He's now 2 away from breaking the Premier League record and 4 away from breaking the overall English league record. It's insane what he's doing, and it's crazy because he slowed down a lot recently. I think he had 25 goals like a month ago, so he slowed down a lot. He's starting to pick up back into form. He's gonna completely still crush that record. It's insane.
oh yeah, definitely.
All right. The other game we want to talk about here, you covered this one in depth, Omar. Wolves versus Chelsea. I mean, what a game this was.
It's the same story over and over. Chelsea can't score.
Dude,
Like
it was so bad.
they're like defensively, they're great. Like they stopped a lot of the early chances Wolves had, but then all of a sudden, a certain Portuguese in the 31st minute out on the wing gets a ball kind of bouncing towards him. Like, I'll shoot this. Matheus Nunes with an absolute screamer. Kepa could do nothing, despite how slow his reactions are. Could do not even the best keeper in the world right now could save that.
Yeah,
Not Courtois, not Ter Stegen, none of them are saving that.
Bro, one of the best goals I've seen. I was covering the Dortmund game while you were watching this one, but I tuned in during the halftime of the Dortmund game to check this game out, and it was the perfect time because I managed to catch it. And oh my god, this is already one of the candidates for the Puskas Award. I don't know when if this one's gonna go for this year or the upcoming year. I don't know how the calendar works for this award, but man, what a goal already. Definitely, in my opinion, goal of the tournament for the Premier League so far. I can't remember a better goal than this.
I
That
mean, the only one you can argue it was Sonaldo's strike
oh
that
yeah,
same day.
that
Like
was
that's
a
the only
free
one you
curve
can
on that
really
one.
argue.
But just a level of difficulty to one touch it in the air, just perfect timing. It's so difficult to hit a shot like that. And of 100 that you hit into the stands, that one is gonna go in and perfect technique.
Like
Nunez
yeah,
actually had a fun story to go with that. I remember you were talking about it in the pre-show. What was it?
yeah. He gave away his soccer boots and he was wearing new ones for this game. And all his life he wore insoles in his cleats that or boots, whatever you want to say. That because one of his legs is shorter than the other, so he always wear the insoles to prevent like injury or like prevent him tripping over himself or whatever. So he's brand new football boots that he salutes to for him helping score that. And I think before he hadn't scored in a while or he hadn't scored this season, but he scored an absolute banger. So maybe the new football boots is working or he did limp off with an injury late in the game. But I would trade limping off, being fine after the game, and scoring a banger than not scoring. So
No, yeah, definitely the trade-off definitely worked for him. We'll see if he sticks with this strategy or goes back to his old boots. But yeah, Chelsea still can score. This was Frank Lampard's first game back, and what a game to come back to have the best seat in the house at watching that. Well, it was between Lampard and then Kepa had the best seat in the house, just watching that goal just go by him and almost take out the whole goal behind them.
and the way Gepa dove made the goal look so much better than it is. It was still an amazing goal, but it looked so much better the way he dove.
Bro, yeah, he didn't stand a
Beautiful.
chance versus that one. All the slow mo shots were just crazy.
I
But
they kept playing the goal over and over. I feel bad for any Chelsea fan. I'm sorry, culture. I'm sorry.
oh yeah,
They kept replaying the goal over and over and over, and it was just like I was still in awe.
dude. So Frank Lampard came out here, and he came out here. I think he was running a 4-3-3. He was definitely running four in the back, but it was a disaster. He put Joao Felix at left wing, then he switched him to right wing, then he put in Aubameyang, and now I can see why Aubameyang hasn't played because holy shit, the fall off is real. The commentator was just roasting him the whole time. Every time Chelsea would get a chance in the box, the commentator would say, Aubameyang is just standing there. He's not even attacking the ball. And it was true. He was just standing there. I don't know if it's rust. I don't know if he's just old and washed now. But bro, it's sad to see. And at one point, I remember you sent a picture of of how the live formation looked for Chelsea, and the 4-3 just looked like a
Three,
mumble jumbo fucking pile of shit.
the 3-5-1-1 revolutionary
Oh my
formation.
god, what a disaster! And I was talking about it with we have a friend who's a Chelsea fan, and he's been down bad for a minute. But I was talking to Culture, and I was telling him like I've seen players turn coaches, be bad at it, realize that I'm way in over my head, go back to being an assistant, build the reputation back up, try it again, and be much better. For Frank Lampard, I think it's time to let it go. He started managing with Chelsea. It went awful. I think he went to Everton after, was it? And then that shit went down the hill too. And it's just he took a break, and after that he comes back here and he's not any better. He can't strategize, he can't make in-game adjustments, and as much as I hate to say it, Graham Potter was bringing out a much better prepared team than Frank Lampard did. You can't tell me is that Frank Lampard only had a week to get these boys ready. One, it was Wolves who are in the relegation battle right now and cannot score goals themselves. Two, Tuchel just took over Bayern Munich, the week prior to this, and in a couple days got his team prepared to face up versus Borussia Dortmund, who were the table leaders at the time, and completely crushed them. So you can't come in here and tell me that, oh, Frank Lampard didn't have enough time. No, he's a fucking shit coach, and he should not be coaching. In my opinion, I would have, if I was Chelsea, I would have rather have one of the Graham Potter assistants interim the rest of the way, because at least, hey, the guys know the system, they know how to work it. I'll just try to make some light adjustments here and there, and we'll just ride out the rest of the season. Frank Lampard came in here, he changed everything, and for reasons no one really understands. I don't know how this is fucking possible, Omar. He made the team worse. Holy shit.
Yeah, and as a famous quote goes around, a famous meme, Frank Lampard, you do not have the facilities for that big man. You do not. You're not built for this. You are not him. I can use every fucking word in the book to describe how shit of a manager you were. I thank God that we only have to watch this terrorist ball for what, like 6 more games?
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
8 more games. God damn it, still a lot. Still a lot
Well,
of games.
10 more games because they do have to play Real Madrid.
Oh God! Oh my God! I have to watch that fucking Wednesday.
And
Oh
no,
God!
this is the thing. I'm scared for as a Real Madrid fan. I'm scared of that game
Oh my
because,
God!
dude, no, I'm being serious.
We'll
Chelsea,
get into that later.
yeah, but Chelsea do a great job of making a game boring as fuck. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Wolves versus Chelsea. And then the last game we'll cover here in the Premier League is one we have to talk about. One we can't miss. Some fucking bewildering shit happening this weekend. Tottenham versus Brighton. Talk about this one, Omar.
Dude, Brighton straight up got robbed. Straight up got robbed. Mitoma was robbed of a goal early in the game. He got fouled in the box. Stonewall penalty, not given. Another goal disallowed for a non-existent handball. And guess what? 79th minute, Harry Kane comes in and scores, beats Brighton 2-1. Would have been a great result for Brighton as they push for Champions League football, and they get robbed.
Yeah, dude. I think the most blasphemous one is the penalty not called. That was a clear penalty. That was a
All of
clear.
them were all of them were blasphemous. The first goal that Mitoma scored, it hits off his chest. It hits right here.
I don't know. These Premier League refs are out of control. Not too long ago, Arsenal got robbed, and when they spoke up about it, to the point that referee is no longer employed across any level. He's unemployed. He will no longer ever in his life referee a football game professionally. And now we get this shit. Not even a month removed from that.
Like, what
It's
do you have? What do you have VAR for? What do you have VAR for if it's not even gonna work?
that's what I'm talking about. We put VAR so this shit doesn't happen. So it's not only on the first official, because you got a team of 6 fucking dipshits over there who knows how much they're getting paid to not call this shit, because there's no way you're missing it, Omar. There's no way you're missing it. You're making conscious decision not to call that. And my question is this: the penalty that got called in the Liverpool versus Arsenal game was very soft. Very soft. If you look at the replay, Diego Jota goes to attack the ball and purposefully puts his foot in front of the Arsenal defender. So as the Arsenal defender is going in for it, he's gonna get kicked and then drives himself to the floor. Salah didn't end up scoring that, so we're not talking about that today. But it's fucking ridiculous that the level of inconsistency that there is in this league. Omar, you said in the group chat, I think it was a couple days ago, the salaries of refs across leagues, with the refs in La Liga making the most money, cough cough Barcelona, but also in there, who are the lowest paid refs?
Premier League.
Yeah,
They're
like, dude, it's ridiculous. This is the biggest league in the world.
all that money. They just got all that. They just got that fucking bag from EA too. They just got a bag from EA to get their rights for their own EAFC games coming out in August. But, bro, and it's like Tottenham should have lost like 5-2. This game should have never been 2-1. The fact Brighton scored 4 goals that all going to be goals. They scored 3 goals, and they would have been given a penalty. So
Insane.
it would have been 4-2 or 4-1. It would have been easy destruction for Brighton. And I'm rooting for Brighton so fucking hard because I love their players. Mitoma, McAllister, Sonny March, Moises Castelo, Estebanyan, Lewis Dunk, who literally dunked on Tottenham as he made that stupid fucking pun on Twitter. I hated you for that for like the whole day. Veltman, who's pretty good. Off the bench, they have Evan Ferguson, who's been pretty solid for them. Like they have players that I like to watch, especially my World Cup champion McAllister, who's been getting linked to like multiple clubs right now, like Chelsea and Liverpool, which is pretty cool. But I want this small club just be in the Champions League. I don't know. I don't care if they lose 6 games. Just get them in there. I'm tired of seeing Spurs bumble their way into the second place of their group and then get destroyed or lose in the round of 16.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah, and there's no proof of what I'm about to say is true. But let's be real here. The Premier League wants Tottenham to get in instead of Spurs because it's better for their ratings next year when they get that money from them being qualified and all these other incentives that unlock with a bigger team going through and going into the top four. So it's
Like
just a shame to see because corruption in the end and money talks. So this shit, if it was the other way around, Tottenham would have gotten every single call. If this would have happened, this would have never happened to Manchester City. A team like Manchester City would have gotten every single call. Why, Omar? Because the interest in the for the league is for Manchester City to keep winning and win the league and do all this shit because they bring in some of the best ratings in the league. But since Brighton, they're like, oh, maybe we can fuck this team over. Who's gonna care 6 months from now? It's just Brighton, which is true, I guess, but it's so fucked up. We have a better league with more balance, and this just fucks it up to just create more dominance for the top teams, which is what we hate La Liga and League One and sometimes Bundesliga for. So
yeah, and literally Brighton, they're in such a good position. Imagine if let's say this hypothetically, they beat Tottenham, they'd move up to 49 points, 4 points behind Tottenham with 2 games in hand. Two, which is a maximum of 6 points. They can get ahead of Tottenham for the fifth spot and be right behind Manchester United for the fourth spot.
insane. And with so little games to go, like all these calls are critical. Like everything weighs now.
Yeah, and especially each place in the Premier League is prize money. That each team, especially these small clubs, the higher the finish, the more budget they can get for next season and to improve their team. So if they can hold McAllister for another year or two, hold Sonny March, hold like the core that they built, it could be great because we all know Moises Caicedo. It looks like he's already going to be leaving in the summer. He almost left in January, so imagine him leaving and him leaving in the summer is kind of a given. Um, so and then Aston Villa's up there in sixth place. They're kind of in the same boat with them kind of battling for Europa and Champions League. But yeah,
Yeah, that's super tough. But
I'm so mad for the Brighton fans.
dude, and they would have been right there, and they would have had 2 games in hand to take over Tottenham's spot. Like I can't prove it, but like you be stupid not to think there's not some sketchy shit going on there. But
I'm convinced Liverpool is just trying to get back into Europe and they're paying these refs right now.
probably, probably, but they keep giving points back. But yeah, that's pretty much. I said my piece about that. Anything else you want to add on before?
Not really, as the rest of the Premier League that this past weekend was other pretty mid. Results kind of favored whichever better team they played. Man United beat Everton. Villa beat Nottingham Forest. Newcastle beat Brentford. Newcastle scored 2 goals again, so that's something to celebrate. My boys West Ham beat Fulham in the Ham Derby. Bournemouth beat Leicester. Man City ass raped Southampton, and Crystal Palace fucked over Leeds States of America. So
One
that was
thing
the
I'm
Premier
gonna say
League.
about that Leeds versus Crystal Palace game, I woke up on Sunday. I woke up early and I was down bad for some football, so I watched this game. It was 1-1 going into the half, and then I got busy with some homework because I thought the game was going to be boring the rest of the way. It was pretty uneventful. And I come back to Crystal Palace just putting their deep inside leads and fucking
Under
destroying them.
something that's underrated in the game in the games, these goals that are scored literally right before half, like Crystal Palace down 1-0, they scored in the 45th plus first minute in the first half. Come out in the second half, they score four, make it win 5-1.
Yeah,
Similar
crazy.
thing happened in El Clasico.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Before we get into the Champions League, we have to recap. So Copa del I almost forgot, Omar. We are actually supposed to start with this game. So El Clásico, Real Madrid versus Barcelona for Copa del Rey to go through to the final. Barcelona were ahead after winning 1-0 in the Bernabeu. And then, I mean, Omar, what happened? Barca fans were chanting Messi, Messi, Messi in the 10th minute. I thought that it was all kumbaya.
Now I'm just gonna show this, the Barca jersey in the background with the Real Madrid 4-0. It was bad. Like early on, we didn't play too bad. I was hoping we were just play like terrace ball and like play Brexit, hoof it every time they like enter like 18, like within like 25 yards of the goal. But it just didn't happen. We left Araujo on an island. You can't do that with someone as skilled as Vinicius. And we created chances. We just fucking couldn't score. That's another issue. And yeah,
They were
it
Disney.
was Lewin Disney, bro. He's still like even today's game was really bad for him. We'll talk about the today's game between Girona and Barcelona later. But dude, I don't know what happened to him. Ever since the World Cup, I feel like he's been like off his game. He was so focused on scoring for Poland, he forgot to score for Barcelona.
For real, dude. Dude got his first goal for Poland and left all his efforts there. He's like, all right, I'm finished.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just
Um,
collect these checks.
we
But
we
yeah,
find we finally like we still had Gavi playing left wing in that game. For I you
guy
can
got subbed by
just,
Militao.
just talk about Real, dude. I don't even want to talk about this team right now with this game.
So yeah, I mean the first goal came off a counter from a Lewandowski shot that Courtois saved, and from there we get a nice bounce. And Rodrigo, who people are not talking about Rodrigo, but I mean it's the momentum. Right? If there's one thing we know about Madrid, is that they're a rusty machine until a goal is scored, and the goal could if that goal doesn't happen, we're playing very boring and uneventful ball, probably for 60 minutes in before tying it. But that goal gave Real Madrid all the momentum. Rodrigo takes it through, opens Vinny up. Vinny takes it, opens Benzi. Benzi gets the pressure. Vinny stays in space. Benzi finds Vinny again, and then Vinny with the finish, man. I want to say one thing, the progress that Vinicius has made, and I've said this a lot, but I just can't stress it enough how good this kid has gotten. And it's crazy because last year I was saying the same thing. He's way better this year than last year. And sometimes I find myself smiling year to year because after Ronaldo left, I thought in my lifetime I was ever gonna see a talent like that play for Real Madrid again. And Vini's fucking galaxies away from prime Ronnie. But after seeing Hazard and Mariano and Jovic and all these fucking pendejos come in and fucking stink it up, having Vini Jr. finally be a guy that we brought in as a kid, he's grown into a man, matured as a football player as well, except for the on-field antics. I want him to start taking care of that. But what a great game. I mean, and the rest of the game is just work. We get the penalty, which was a penalty, and then Vini's just there, just fucking talking shit to Cassie, talking shit to Araujo. And he's like that. He's a bit he's jugueton. And if you have him on your team, you love him because you love how the way he gets under the other player's skin. And if you're playing against him, I
You
can
hate
see why
him.
you hate him. Why you
You
hate him.
hate him.
So I saw this
The
video from
Jimmy Butler footy.
bro. Yeah, the I saw this video on YouTube from a channel called Planeta Madridista. after Madrid got the penalty when Vini got fouled, the Barca fans started chanting "Así gana el Madrid" because we had just gotten the penalty, and Vini got in on it. I don't know if he did it on purpose, or I don't know if he thought that was just the Real Madrid fans making noise, and he thought he wanted to hype him up. But that was super funny.
I
Uh,
think it was more taunting Matt, like just like yeah, get louder.
bro,
Sigue hablando mierda.
he loves it. He loves the
He
petty.
feeds off of
He's
that
the
shit.
petty king. He's the petty
He,
king.
dude, I low key love him and I low key hate it. I hate like he's so good. I remember the first two seasons he was with Real. He was really like he was slow into it. He would show like the talent and the ceiling that he could have, but then he showed like the flop that he could turn out to be. And we could tell where he's going. He's going up to his ceiling, and in my opinion, he still hasn't reached it.
No, no.
If he can develop more on
Goal scoring.
his weak foot and goal scoring, the kid could be the best player in the world eventually. It's gonna be hard in a world with Haaland and Mbappe, but it's not a world that isn't impossible. The king spot is open for debate now. Messi is getting to the end of his career. Ronaldo, end of his career already. Messi's getting there too. Neymar, he's old already. All these great players that we experience in our as kids, as mid-teen, moody teenagers, and now as adults, they're kind of getting to the end of there. So now it's a new era starting, and Vinny could be at the forefront of that with Mbappe, Haaland, Vinny, soon to be Jude Bellingham if he can continue. But enough about that. I want to talk about the most overprotected player, most stand player on this fucking team, and it's Gavi. I love the kid. He can be very good. But my God, he's so overprotected by this Barca fan base. The kid has been mid this year. A mess. He's had elite days, and shitty days. He's no in between. He can just have a consistently solid game. I just looked at it as his average rating this year, 6.9. That's a definition of mid, in my opinion. Like if you're at a 7, like 0.1 is 0.2, you're consistently good. 6.9, once you're below that 7, you're not that great. You're having a good days and bad days. Exactly what Gavi is. He's very streaky, and I hate it.
For Gavi, I think he's playing out of position. I've never thought
Yeah.
he's a speedster. He doesn't have gambeta. The no gambeta, no skill. I mean, it's not because of him. I think he's playing out of position. To me, he's a midfielder, and if anything, he's a contención. He's more of a player that you want in the midfield. A Camavinga style, a Valverde. I guess they're trying to play him like Valverde because Valverde. What makes Valverde so versatile is one, speed and strength. If he didn't have those two things, especially speed, he would never be on the wing. So to put Gavi on the wing, it hasn't worked. I think he with Xavi saying, because I remember back like 10 years ago there was one point that Iniesta would be on the wing, but it was kind of like a false wing because he would come in the middle a lot and then he would play through the middle a lot. He was never going down the sidelines or going into
Yeah,
things like that.
very inverted.
But
And
they're not the same player, bro. I mean, Iniesta and Gavi, very different. And I see
I know.
Gavi as a more fit. Maybe Barcelona fans see it different, but I think Gavi's talents will be put to much better use as a defensive midfielder or center midfielder than as a winger. That's
Yes,
just
I completely agree. And I think the problem is just how crowded our midfield is with how many good players that we have. And I think Gavi won't settle for a squad player type. Like he's not going to settle for that. Like we can maybe send Kessie down, but then we kind of like I like Kessie a lot more as a mid. I like our midfield I like De Jong, Pedri, and Kessie. That's how I like our midfield play. And then I just wish we were more healthy as well. Like I'm not going to use that as an excuse for how we lot played. We still play like shite. Like we
not
didn't deserve to
good.
win that game at
You had
all.
players out. You have players out.
Yeah. Then Bele and Pedri make the difference in those
Pedri
type
is
of
the
games.
one the big factor there. Pedri is a lot of people hype up Gavi. To me, Pedri I'm mad
way
about
better.
the Barcelona shirt because to me, Betty's everything Gavi gets the lights for. I mean,
Yes.
you guys are paying attention to the wrong guy because Betty's a gem. Wasn't 2 years ago where he played a bunch of games for City and then he played for Spain and then he played. It was like fucking like 68 games in the season at like
Yes.
8 years old. It was
Yeah, something like that.
it was stupid. And the kid just head down and work, head down and work, head down and work, not a loudmouth, which you can be who you can afford to be. And especially when you're a youngster, you didn't see Vini acting a fool like that when he sucked. He's doing it now because he knows he can afford to be that player.
Yeah,
But
and I still appreciate Pedri a lot more than Gavi. Maybe Gavi can develop more, but like I was saying before, Gavi had this goal contribution against Elche in on the first of April. He hadn't gotten a contribution since February
he,
against Sevilla in a 3-0 win. And
yes,
in between those, it's just been mid performances. Like it's just not great. And then Ansu Fati, another guy I just fucking despise now. Like he take the number 10 off his back already. I hate seeing it. He does not deserve it. He never did. He didn't
bro,
deserve it. He wasn't scoring 30 goals a year and shitting on people. Never deserved it.
you guys hype.
Messi got his 10 because he was shitting on teams, shitting on the Giants, and Ronaldinho left, and they gave it to him.
Yeah,
Fati never did any of that shit.
they forced that one for sure. But all right, enough classical talk. We need to get to what we were here for. Already 45 minutes in. But all right, guys, it's time. The cue the music right here is where the music's gonna be. Oh my god, it's going crazy. The UEFA Champions League is back. Quarterfinals, first leg, and we got some juggernauts going at each other. I think the biggest game and the biggest matchup of these legs so far is the one we're gonna start with. Manchester City versus Bayern Munich, arguably the two best teams left in the competition.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Benfica, Inter Milan, but okay, yeah, definitely Man City, yeah, Bayern. Pep Guardiola going against his former club of and Bayern, a team that a lot of people say was a failed kind of job and didn't win the Champions League, only won a bunch of German stuff as normal for Bayern, but still an insane matchup. Haaland going back to Munich now as a Man City player in Manchester instead of a Dortmund player. It's gonna be a fun game. I think the first game is at the Etihad
Yep.
in Manchester, so it's gonna be an interesting first leg. I'm excited, man. This is gonna be like Bayern under Tuchel, Man City under Pep Guardiola, two of the better managers right now in the world, definitely. Even though Tuchel just got into the job and are coming off a loss, but I think Tuchel always learns from those, and it's gonna be fun. Honestly, I don't know how to even predict this.
This one's very tough to predict. On one end, you got Manchester City, a team that I'm making this number up, but I'm pretty sure it's accurate. It's averaging around 3 to 4 goals per game, no matter who they play, whether it's Champions League, FA Cup, or Premier League. This is a team that after I think what set this up. There was a draw that really set this up. All right. So they ended up drawing in the first leg versus RB Leipzig, and Pep Guardiola had kind of a controversial post-game interview where the interview was saying, asked them, "Hey, I'm guessing you're satisfied with the first half," and Pep replied, "I'm not satisfied with only the first half. I'm satisfied with the whole game. Why wouldn't I be satisfied with the whole game?" And then one of the exchanges was that they were expected to win. Basically, they went back and forth from there. Omar, Manchester City went to the Premier League, beats Bournemouth 4-1. FA Cup beats Bristol City 3-0. Back to the Premier League, beats Newcastle 2-0. Newcastle is an excellent defense, so nothing to take away there. Have another wing in the Premier League. Then they go to Champions League, put 7 on RB Leipzig. Then they go to FA Cup again, put 6 on Burnley. Burnley are no bums. They just got promoted back to the Premier League with a lot of games to go. So very good, solid team there, led by Vincent Company. And then they put 4 on Liverpool's head after Liverpool scored first, and they're just coming off putting 4 on Southampton's head. If this is the most informed team in Europe right now, if I had to choose, I would go Manchester City in a landslide, especially with how inconsistent Bayern Munich has went. They got eliminated from the German Cup versus Freiburg. They did beat Freiburg this past weekend, but it had to take a miracle goal from the league, who put a 40-yard long shot to the back of the net. And after that, before that, they had won to Dortmund, and then they had lost to Bayern Leverkusen, led by Xavi Alonso, Madrid legend, by the way. So it's tough. The logic in me wants to pick Man City, but the the skeptic in me knows that I can't pick against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. I just can't.
Yeah, and with predicted lineup saying that for some reason Man City to line up in a three at the back, in a 3-2-4-1, and Bayern to line up as a 4-1-4-1 with Mane starting at the left and Gnabry starting up front. So I always don't like these lineup predictions. I only kind of look at the players, and it kind of seems logical for most of these players to be starting. It's just kind of like this full strength lineups for both these teams. I don't know what injuries both these teams are suffering from, but
So
it looks like I know Foden's out, but that's really all I really
Choupo-Moting
know.
is
Choupo
out for
Moting,
the
so
fight.
yeah, they don't have their 9 up front. It's gonna be a little iffy, but we'll see how this game. Do you have a prediction that you want to lay out here?
Man, I'm gonna just say right now, we can start. You know what we can start doing? We can start doing percentages, probability of who we think is gonna go through. So as it stands right now, I'm gonna give Manchester City a 60% chance to go through, and Bayern Munich a 40% chance to go through. I still giving Bayern Munich their piece of the pie. I respect them, but until I see otherwise, Manchester City is a buzzsaw, and there's no reason to bet against them.
So you could be the percentages guy. I'm gonna stick with my goal with my score predictions. I'm gonna say a 1-1 draw at the Etihad.
Very low scoring.
Yes,
Good
they're both powerhouses. They both have great defenses, and it could definitely turn out. It could definitely be higher scoring, but I think it will still end up as a draw. So
All
that's
right,
how I'm feeling about this game.
we'll see what happens. So, all right, let's go on to the next one. Benfica versus Inter. This game in matchup is better than what it looks like, because Benfica currently are on an unleashed run, currently leading the Portuguese league, and have been one of the most fun teams to keep up with in the Champions League. They had an excellent group stage, and they definitely handled business with Club Brugge this last round. So Inter, they had some trouble with Porto, who's currently second in the Portuguese league, and they beat them really 1-0. So what do you think of this game?
It's a tough one. No, a tough one to predict. You could say because with the run, with how like the draw came out, one of these teams could end up in the Champions League final. Like with the way how everything kind of laid out with Inter, Benfica, AC Milan, and Napoli ending up all on the same side, and it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a fun way to finish off with how how Benfica lines up. Their top goal scorer in this competition right now is João Mario, the 30-year-old Portuguese man with 6 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League. Very good so far from him. And guys like Nicolas Otamendi holding the back with Antonio Silva, Gonçalo Ramos, Rafa Silva, just absolutely grown team with a mix of veteran guys who know how to get it done. So, and Inter Milan, they've been slipping in Serie A. They've been slipping down the tables. and it's tough. This one's a tough one for sure. And Inter Milan have not been a very good away team this year. They have not been good.
And they're not good at scoring goals either. And Benfica, you can say what you want about their opposition, but even in the group stage, they played some really good opposition, and they've been scoring goals all season. We're now in April. This is not they'll cool down at the end. No, this is the trend. This is not
This
a
is
trend.
the end.
This is consistency. They're a team that scores goals. Lukaku going under really bad form. Serie A currently has a 6.68 rating for the season. 17 matches, 3 goals and 2 assists for your center forward. Ugh. Then you have Lautaro Martinez, who's having a much better season, currently in 29 matches, 14 goals, 3 assists, but also not having the best moment with Inter either. So with these two being your main responsible for being your goal scorers, it's tough. And I like Benfica much more with the way it's looking right now. People want to sleep on Benfica because they're a Portuguese team and Inter is playing in the Serie A. But if you're looking at Inter have now won in 5 games. They tied with Salernitana on Friday. They tied with Juve the past Tuesday in the Coppa Italia. They lost to Fiorentina the weekend before that. Then they lost to Juve. Then we had the tie versus Porto in the Champions League, which if we go back, Omar, Porto had all the rights to win that game and should have won that game, but for some reason, for reasons nobody understands really, Onana just turned into Courtois that game. Onana was playing out of his mind. Then they lost versus Spezia, and the last win they've had was March 5th, Omar, over a month ago, 2-0 to Lecce. And you know where Lecce is currently? Lecce is at a whooping 16th place in the Serie A.
Yikes. Not great. And as well, with Inter Milan, their top goal scorer in the Champions League is only on 3 goals. And it's Edin Dzeko. 37-year-old Edin Dzeko.
Yeah.
And their second top goal scorer has only played 62 minutes in the Champions League this year is Romelu Lukaku with 2. Lukaku's played 62 minutes, and he has more goals than Lautaro Martinez in the Champions League.
Yeah, Lautaro has not been good.
And Lautaro Martinez has played 610. That's crazy.
So another thing about Benfica. So look, Benfica, they lost this past weekend 1-2 to Porto. But before that, they had just come off an 8-game winning streak and had been unbeaten for 16 games. 16 games. You know what their last loss was before this loss to Porto? September 30th. December 30th, 2022 was their last loss, and it was to Braga.
Damn, Braga's a very good team, so.
So that's all I'm gonna say. As far as predictions go, I'm gonna give Benfica a 70% chance to go through. I'm gonna give Inter a 30% chance to go through. I do not believe in Inter. But have to prove
Yeah,
me wrong.
with the first game ending up in the Estadio de Luz in Portugal, I'm going to give Benfica the first leg win 2-0 to Benfica. As with that, the second leg meet in the San Siro.
All right. So that will be that game. It's gonna be an interesting one. Don't sleep on it because it's definitely gonna be interesting. I think Benfica is great at providing the audience with great football. Next game we're gonna go to. Oof, been nervous about this one, Omar. Real Madrid versus Chelsea, and for the first time in 2 years, Real Madrid are gonna be kicking off the leg at home instead of closing it at home. What'd you think of this one?
You're nervous. I'm not expecting anything from Chelsea. I think Real Madrid should easily take care of business. I'm not
I'm
saying that to be an anti-jinx. I'm truly saying that because they're just the better team, the better manager, the better players. They can fucking score goals for fucking Christ's sake. Chelsea barely can. but I see why you're nervous. That little thing that Chelsea can do, what they've been doing all year, they make games ugly. They don't
Dude,
win those ugly games, but they can scrape them by. They can scrape by.
the worst case scenario for me, I'm not even that's and like you said, I'm not worried about them really like scoring goals. But if we leave out of this 0-0, Madrid's in trouble because Chelsea weren't playing good when they matched up against Dortmund. The Champions League is just a very odd tournament and weird things happen in the Champions League. I've been saying it for years. People think I'm crazy because it usually just a lot of times it's happened to Madrid in Madrid's favor. But crazy shit happens in the Champions League. No offense to any Chelsea fans, no offense to culture, but you know what? The main reason I'm afraid of this game because I've seen how Real Madrid plays versus Rayo Vallecano this year, and I've seen how Real Madrid plays against Getafe this year, and these like shit clubs where we're there and the team comes out flat and comes out dead and they play down to their competition, and then one either I'm biting my nails up until the 78th minute where Vini goes through on a ball and passes it to Benzi and we go up 1-0 to win the game, or some for some fucking reason these shit teams will score first and then put us in a pickle the rest of the game, and then we either get a tie it in the 90th minute or end up losing it straight up. So that's why I'm afraid because Madrid just have this thing where they play down to the opponents, and I hate it. I hate it, especially with the
Yeah.
moment Chelsea's in right now. And
And
like,
currently,
go
yeah, and
ahead.
currently with Real Madrid, top goal scorer being Vinicius with 6, and behind him is Rodrigo and Benzema with 3 each, in throughout their game so far. So it's kind of the Vinny show. Kind of it. We used to always look at Real Madrid ever since Ronaldo left. It was Benz's team. Now it's kind of moving into Vinny's direction a little bit,
Yep.
definitely. And I
Especially
think
in
that's
the last year.
really due to Karim just being like the he's not really the main guy anymore, but you can tell he's the leader with Modric being kind of like the old guard teaching the young people around him. And you could tell with the emergence of Valverde how good he's been. Militao is being a leader at the back and stuff like that. So
Dude,
this
I
is a
value
fun team.
I value
Yeah.
that a lot because especially that run last year, all the youngsters for Real Madrid last year, they heard the shit that the veterans were saying when they were down to PSG and when they were down at Chelsea and when they were down at Man City and when Liverpool was coming down their neck trying to score a goal. They saw how the veterans handled it and they learned from that, and then they'll be able to take that and pass it forward. And I think a big part of that is just Madrid running off that momentum from 2014. 2014
Yeah.
changed everything.
Yeah,
It
and then with
mentality
and
in that building.
yeah, and with the emergence in the La Liga games with Dani Ceballos, who wasn't really a factor in the Champions League, only playing 50 minutes in 4 games for Real in the Champions League this year. I think he's gonna have a lot more of a role coming off the bench now. With the guys like Modric and Cruz can't really going 90 minutes anymore with their legs kind of giving out on them. So it's gonna be fun. And on Chelsea's side, their leading goal scorer is Raheem Sterling with 3 goals and 1 assist. And I'm not sure. I don't know. It did not carry Enzo. I wonder what was Enzo Fernandez's stats in the Champions League because it's only counting the 2 games he's had with against Dortmund
Mm.
for Chelsea. So let me go find his stats real quick as you can talk about Chelsea.
But all right, as far as Chelsea's concerned, I think we talked about a little bit beforehand, but their form has been just atrocious. So I mean, a lot of you guys saw what they did to Dortmund in the second leg of the Champions League, but what happened after that? They beat Leicester City 3-1, just kind of rolling off that momentum, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, Chelsea's back." And after that, they tie versus Everton. They lose to Friwo Martinez and Aston Villa. They tie versus Liverpool, which they always tie versus Liverpool, and then they lose to relegation Wolves. So it's tough, man. And Frank Lampard is just not a good coach. We'll see what happens, but teams like these are weird. And now Ancelotti doesn't know what Frank unequivocally, like without trying and without meaning it, Frank Lampard kind of fucked Ancelotti over because Frank Lampard came in on Sunday, Saturday, and completely changed the lineup. So now Ancelotti doesn't know what the fuck to expect because this guy he's clueless to the point he's not only a hazard to his team, he's a problem for the other team because it's like this guy's a wild card. We don't know what this guy's gonna do. So I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
don't know what to expect from him.
Yeah, Enzo only had one assist with in the Champions League with Benfica, so he didn't really do all the goal contribution parts. He's been just been pulling the strings.
Damn, Enzo
But
fan Disney.
okay, you were just praising him before the pod, so
Nah,
relax there.
bro, he's my favorite
But
player in Chelsea. But
yeah,
I mean,
at the Bernabeu, Chelsea are in for a ride. I think it's gonna be a close game. I'd say 1-0 Real.
this is the only one I'm gonna skip up percentages on because you guys already know which side I'm gonna favor. I'm gonna say it's also a 1-0. And
You're hoping for more though.
of course I'm hoping for more. I was telling you guys in the group chat. I don't feel comfortable going to the bridge unless we have a 3-0 lead because like I said, weird shit happens at the Champions League, and I I couldn't reveal this trick before, but there's a certain advantage and a certain edge you get to playing the second leg at home. There just is. You get the fan base with you. You get that there's if you've played any sport, you know when push comes to shove and you're facing all the pressure to possibly the end of the season, those last 20 minutes, some shit possesses you and you don't feel tired, you don't feel nothing. So teams like that can take their claws out and really complicate shit. So I got a 1-0. No, I don't expect. I expect 1-0. I want at least 3-0.
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah, so 1-0 for me. Real will edge out and they'll go into Stamford Bridge with a 1 goal advantage only.
And it'll be like fucking Danny Carvajal scoring and some weird shit.
Honestly, that'd be kind of funny with
Uh,
how on fraud alert he's been recently.
yeah, dude. So and yeah, that's pretty much the Real Madrid versus Chelsea preview. Culture, if you're watching this, wish you the best of luck. But buddy, you got one coming. All right, let's move on to the next game. AC Milan versus Napoli. Oof, this one, Italian classic coming up in the Champions League, and it almost guarantees us to have an Italian finalist unless Benfica goes on one of the greatest runs of all time. What do you think of this one?
Dude, this is a wild one. AC Milan, Napoli. Napoli, of course, we've all know, dominating the Serie A first place with 74 points, averaging 2.5 points per game almost, and kind of led the line by Victor Osimhen, who missed the last game against these two clubs, where AC Milan absolutely bent him over and fucked them. So Osimhen kind of makes this team work and kind of move. Without him, he's the missing like gear. Of course, we have Cavaradona bossing it, and the goal scoring is very even in the Champions League. It's Pietro Zelinski, Victor Osimhen, Giacomo Raspadori, and Giovanni Simeone, with 4 goals this season in the Champions League for Napoli. And the leading goal contribution is Cavaradona and Raspadori with 6. So very even across the line. They have guys who can come off the bench and score goals for them if they needed to. It's just tough. This one's another tough one. Like all these matchups, like we're in the quarterfinals, all these games are kind of like 50-50, it feels like now for me.
Dude, you asked me who wins this matchup 2 weeks ago, and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm telling you Napoli. But you just can't. Even if Victor Osimhen is missing, and I think the main factor with Victor Osimhen is that the way he can high press, and the way he's just a nuisance to the center backs and that to the whole defense by himself with just his size and speed and physical ability. without that, like obviously ways, but it's still one player. One player doesn't make you concede 4 goals. So this is really tough because AC Milan at the beginning of 2023 were on a really bad stretch, and I actually had a personal beef with their coach Stefano Pioli for benching Rafael Leao for who knows what reasons. But he came to senses. He finally learned ball. He listened to Top Corner Pod and he listened to my advice, and he started starting Rafael Leao. And ever since, Milan have been on a really good run. They kind of fell out of form in March, like that. Their March run was really bad with 2 losses and 2 ties, but they came back swinging versus Napoli. They did tie on Friday versus Empoli, so we don't know if this was just a one-off kind of win versus Napoli that Napoli wasn't expected, or if Milan are really back. But nevertheless, Stefano Pioli has this team playing great ball. I mentioned Rafael Leao, but other players I really, really, really like on this team are. What? I'm getting a call. I'll clip that. But other players I really like on this team are Tonali, and I also like Rebic, also over on the left wing. So overall, they have some talent, but what Stefano Pioli is doing with the squad is truly amazing. And also, can't forget about Theo Hernandez over at left back.
Yeah, and guys that are just pulling the strings that are just underrated. Alessa Salamakers, Brahim Diaz, Tomaso Povega, some other great players. Like this team has good talent. I guess it's just waiting for it to just come together again and kind of fix itself. And yeah, they have the guy who can't defend as well, Serginho Dest over here, the American. So top
Walmart.
goal scorer. Yeah, top goal scorer for this team in the Champions League has been Olivier Giroud, actually, with 4 goals, 2 assists. Highest goal contributions as well, with Rafael Leao having 1 goal and 2 assists. So not a lot of goal scoring from this club in the Champions League so far, but that could easily change with just a little more goals.
Yeah, dude. And Milan does open up the series at home. They take the first punch. They set the tone. We'll see what happens. As far as percentages goes, this is the 50-50 one for me. But I have to pick a side. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give Napoli the edge with a 55% chance of winning. And I'm going to give Milan a 45% chance of winning.
I'm gonna say this first leg ends in a draw.
I definitely see it. I could see it happen. Definitely.
0-0.
I could also see it happen.
0-0.
Both
Classic Italian score.
both Milan and Inter went through to this round scoring 1 goal. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
Napoli scored 5 on the Frankfurt.
yeah, and one other note, Milan, AC Milan did not have to fight for their lives and make their goalkeeper, the figure of the second leg, because I mean, Spurs are pretty shit. Sorry, takes. It's just the truth. But yeah, and that's our Champions League preview. You get the score predictions from Omar. You get the percentages from me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. From there, we're gonna go ahead and before close this out, and then we're gonna go with goal of the week in the preview. I usually pick one. Omar usually picks the other, but this time we had to come to an agreement. We just have to celebrate football and football greatness, and we decided. What did we decide on, Omar?
I think we decided that we will give it to the man who scored with not even his own boots, some brand new boots, Mateus Nunes or Nunez. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Nunez.
Yes,
The
Nunes.
beautiful strike, the volley onto the top left corner from first time. Beautiful for Wolves to beat Chelsea 1-0. And we'll give the runners up to Sonaldo. We got to. I just got to give it to him. Give him
Yeah,
his props anyway.
beautiful, beautiful curve on that shot, and then uh, since you mentioned one honorable mention, I saw another screamer, which was De Ligt saved the win for Bayern Munich when they played Freiburg. It would have been a tie, but he just hit a 40-yard strike, a bullet that never went down. It was just a straight line, just going into the top corner, almost took the whole goal with it, broke the net. But yeah, dude, really, really good stuff to see. And then for Bozo of the week, bit of drama happened in the Liverpool game. So there was video coming out of a ref possibly elbowing Henderson, just throwing an elbow at him. They didn't fucking UFC elbow Henderson and break his jaw and throw him on the floor, but he did throw an elbow his way. It was pretty clear on video. Pretty. I don't expect. I don't know. Premier League refs have been a mess recently, and I know Roy Keane went on national media and called Henderson soft and kind of doubted people, like what questioned people on why we're even worrying about this. But it's like, dude, you're a fucking referee. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and my bozo of the week was actually from today's game against between Barcelona and Girona. I just sent you a picture on your main account, and I want you to take a look at it real quick. Let me know when you pull it up.
So I'm pulling it up right now. All right.
So you see the guy with the ball. That's Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Can you believe in this sequence, no shots were taken? 0 shots were taken from this sequence.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the image. No copyright intended, but as you can see, Lewandowski is in front of goal, and even if he doesn't score, he definitely is in front of the two defenders. And the least he could do is fucking flick his left leg to make the ball go towards the goal.
I don't care if you miss. Take the fucking shot, you fucking bitch. You Polish motherfucker. Just take the fucking shot. We're paying you to be a poacher. Shoot. You're not fucking Benzema. You're not Vinicius. You don't have the Brazilian physique to fucking dribble through 3 defenders and score. You're not like that. Just shoot. All right, I'm enough with ranting about Barcelona. I don't know if you want to quickly run over the Europa League. We have some pretty fun games.
I completely forgot about Europa League, but yeah, we can go through Europa.
Just real quick, when you breeze it over, we have some pretty historic teams in here and some pretty historic managers as well. With one of our favorite managers we love to talk about, Jose Mourinho and Roma, playing against Feyenoord in their first leg. Yeah, dude.
Another scary team. They destroyed their last leg. I forgot who they played, but they just destroyed them.
Yeah, it was fucking Shakhtar. Played Shakhtar. Fucking Santiago Jimenez, the Mexicano, was absolutely everywhere. He is gonna be a demon, but I think Roma have the capabilities to hold them down. I think this first leg away from home, for Roma will end up in a draw, and it's gonna be a classic Italian 0-0.
I agree. I also agree. I think Mo knows the type of ball he needs to play to ice a team like this, and also see it as a draw possibly. And Roma has the second leg at home, so this is definitely looking good for them. Next game we have is Baena and Valverde versus Union Saint-Gilloise. Union Saint-Gilloise have a personal vendetta against them because they went out of the way to eliminate my precious Union Berlin from the Europa League. Union Berlin, who have just been falling apart recently, and Bayern Leverkusen, who are managed by a stud, Xavi Alonso, Real Madrid legend. I mean, the man took over the team when they were near relegation, and Bayern Leverkusen are now in the 6th spot, prime to go into the Conference League. Will probably make that push to lock in European competition, either in the Europa or the Champions League. Great stuff to see. For this one, I think Bayer Leverkusen takes care of business.
Yeah, and with Union Saint-Gilloise, though, they haven't lost since March 5th. They've gone on a great run of form ever since the games against Union Berlin with the draw and then beating them. So I would say Leverkusen will still take care of business at home, but don't sleep on Union Saint-Gilloise. You've already slept on them once, and they shit on a German club.
Fuck them.
Don't
Fuck them.
sleep
Their
them.
Mickey Mouse run ends here.
The historic. I'm going with the underdog. What happened to supporting underdogs, Juan? What
Fuck, damn
happened?
it. No, I'm going to Charlie Alonso because he's a great coach and he's going to be.
Okay, okay. I'll let you be a homer. I'll let you be a homer. And
All right.
then I'll be my homer for this pick was Juventus versus Sporting. Angel Di Maria has this fucking club on his back right now, and he's gonna continue. One of the reasons why this fucking badge has his third star was because of Fidel, and they're gonna continue, bro.
Juventus are on a great run. And like you said, yeah, Fidel, 35 years old, and the man found new life in the World Cup after he's been on a complete tear. Even after the tournament, he decided, hey, I'm not just gonna start mailing it in. I'm gonna actually try for my team because I'm a professional footballer and I care about my legacy. So he's been on an absolute tear. And like you, I got Juventus winning this one with a comfortable 2-0.
Is that a shot at Messi?
Bro, you can, if the shoe fits, wear it. I'm just saying things.
I mean, fuck PSG anyway. Piss poor PSG. Okay, and then we have Manchester United versus the Kings of the Europa League, Sevilla. This is a fun matchup. Even how bad Sevilla's been in La Liga, this is still like this is their territory for Sevilla.
Yep.
But they gotta go travel to Old Trafford first.
They do. And Spanish teams have not been doing good in the cold weather of England. I don't know if it's still cold over there in England, but from my experience, it's always cold and cloudy and musty and disgusting in England. So, yeah, Sevilla are probably going to get shit on because, as you know, as you guys know, Real Betis and Sevilla, they play in the same city. They play in Sevilla. So their team is acclimated probably to hot weather as Omar's dog is photobombing the pod right now. But yeah, for this one, I got Man United winning 3-0.
I'll say 2-0.
All right.
Rashford brace. He gets back into form. He's kind of fallen off a little bit.
He went out limping, so we'll have to see
Oh, I did not know that.
on the injury. Yeah, he went
Okay,
out.
Valdecor's brace then, bro. He's going off.
Jesus Christ, fucking white horse.
Send it in. Bet on it.
Bro, his odds are probably crazy, like plus 300. Just big, tall, and fucking dumb. But
Yeah,
all right.
and then that's really it. Europa Conference League. We don't really care about it. I only
Just
care about it because they play Gents. They're on the road for the first game. It's gonna be a tough game. We're coming off of some good form actually, so I'm actually pretty excited.
I've never heard of this team. They play in Belgium.
They play in Belgium. Yes, they're one of the biggest clubs in Belgium.
All right.
So
yeah. No offense to any Belgium fans if you're watching.
yeah.
But all right. And that's pretty much the pod. All right. We covered the leagues, we covered the news, we covered the Champions League, we covered the Europa. I mean, god damn it, we're covering fucking everything. We were thinking about probably going and starting some coverage for the Copa Libertadores. You guys let us know if you're into that. We'll definitely dive into it. We've been kind of watching along from the side.
The first match they kind of already started. Boca Juniors drew in a surprise fashion.
Palmeiras, a bunch of all the big teams got upset because I've been watching from afar. There was some Colombian teams in it. I know you've been keeping up with the Argentinian teams. I'm a big fan of Argentinian football, with Racing Club being one of my favorite teams over there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Probably any big updates that come out of Copa Libertadores, we're covering it, but they're still in the group stage. And then as the tournament advances, we'll see how we dive into it.
And then one more thing before we go, I just want to just say an appreciation to how fucking good a 16-year-old could be. Endrick is still a demon. I watched one of our boys, Kevin, shout out to him, great guy that I argue with Messi versus Ronaldo, or when we're just trolling each other. Fucking, he kept sending these highlights of Endrick. I was staring at them for a good 10 minutes, just watching him play. Love the kid. I hate that he's gonna torture Barcelona for 20 years, but whatever.
He's fucking fracked, dude.
I hope we get Vitor Roque, so it's like the Brazilian striker battle. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty cool.
he has some promise too. But speaking of Kevin, he was over there talking some shit about Victor
Yeah,
Roque.
and
Some people
if
spin.
anyone says Vitor Roque is better than Endrick, they're fucking biased. Endrick is better than Vitor Roque, but the gap isn't far. But they're both not even nowhere near their top potential what they can be. So
Yeah, Fiorentino just the Brazilian special. I mean, the kid doesn't even know where the fuck he's standing, and he's already getting a fucking contract, multi-million-dollar contract from Real Madrid. Man, at that age, like I can't even imagine how surreal it feels. It's
that
like,
pressure, dude, that's for sure already pressure for him.
I mean, he had been singing up, and we talked about it here in the pod, and we hope he would get back into form now that it gets to him too much, and it's great that he got back into form. But either way, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you got this far in the pod, you might as well shoot us a follow on Twitter at Top Corner Pod. Might as well shoot us a follow on TikTok at Top Corner Pod. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button and hit subscribe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Juan and Omar with the Top Corner Pod. Peace out.